This week on Arizona Illustrated, Indigenous Peoples Day.
What are we leaving behind for our kids, our grandkids? Is it good? And did I have a part to play in it?
Change makers.
People think that business is a white man in a suit coming to your community that wants something and that has found something on the reservation that they need and wants access to. So we wanted to change that.
And native harvest.
It should be sweet, not bitter. And it should not dry your mouth or throat. It should not have any slight burning, and it should not be chalky. If it's burning, chalky, drying, or bitter, don't use it. It's nasty.
Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. The Tucson community recently gathered to raise awareness and celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Participants shared their culture and traditions, honoring the land, the people, and their way of life.
We're here today to come in resistance and respect for Indigenous Peoples Day 2019 and no Columbus Day. We're still here and we're not going anywhere.
I want to introduce to our first singer. Her name is Mary Garcia. She's part of the Tohono O'odham Nation.
What we're doing is, sharing our cultures through music, through dance. Pretty much preserving our way of life because it's needed at this point right now.
Thank you very much. This is what we do.
For Indigenous peoples, our strength is that we're connected. As Indigenous peoples, we have a lot of wisdom teachings that are very good instructions about how to be human beings. And so I think that in addition to becoming informed, people are reminded of how to live better as human beings and how to live in a way that's respectful also to the original peoples of these territories.
We're coming from the White Mountain Apache tribe. We're going to demonstrate some dances, the Apache dances here for you guys. We're called ourselves the CBQ Creek Dance Group.
Most importantly is pretty much, recognizing our indigenous lands, preserving that first, and just recognizing our rights for the people that were here first, which is Turtle Island.
The Indigenous Alliance Without Borders, or the Alianza Indígena Sin Fronteras, was formed in 1997 to address the issues of Indigenous peoples on the border, which was very specific needs. We do all kinds of organizing, Know Your Rights campaigns. We initiated the movement to have Indigenous Peoples Day recognized by various governmental bodies here.
The Great Mother is cleansing herself. Do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you taste it, smell it, and hear it?
We're actually in Tucson, Arizona. The autumn version of Tucson, Arizona is Tucson, the base of Black Mountain. Recognizing that we're still here.
Thank you all. Thank you for that first call.
We saw the height of the discrimination as young people. Now it's being more accepted. There's a lot more participation. There's a lot more awareness. Individuals now want to know who we are as people. As Indigenous people, we were taught not to take more than we need. Who but Creator formed this unique system to work in harmony? We, as Indigenous people, were supposed to be able to see that celebrated, work in harmony and not harm in order to live. We have always been taught that. What are we leaving behind for our kids, our grandkids. Is it good? And did I have a part to play in it?
The dance that myself and my family were practitioners of is called Masewalisli Mitotilisli in our language. Easiest way to translate that would probably be Aztec dance. Lineages come from different origins, different migration patterns. Ours is specific to Tucson. There's still a lot of injustices that are occurring. There's a lot of things that have evolved on a social political level with these borders, but it's very inhumane. Yeah, we're human beings, but there's a lot of inhumanity as a result of a lot of the policies that are in place today that directly impact indigenous peoples, especially on this US-Mexico border. You have relatives that are having to do ceremonies on both sides and don't have right to mobility when they've been doing that for thousands of years.
Here we go. Crow hop, trot song. Take it away.
For folks that do hold power, positions of authority, for them to listen. Simply listen to the voices of indigenous peoples.
One more time, make some noise for that. That's thousands and thousands of years right there. Those of you that felt that, you take that home and you wake up with it tomorrow. Do something good with it. Put it into your life. Put it into your purpose.
I have hope. I have hope for humanity, and I have hope that we could start to begin to move in those directions. I think that events like this instill hope, and I feel that if it continues to come from us, if we continue to believe and strive in self-determination, I think we could arrive there. It's led by, it's by indigenous peoples, for indigenous peoples, but it's not limited to indigenous peoples. We want all human beings to show up in the best ways possible. So we're in solidarity with our humanity.
The last train car of coal entered the Navajo generating station near Page, Arizona in August, and all operations are currently scheduled to end in November. Now, while this will mean cleaner air and less pollution, it also means that many are losing their jobs, and the impact will ripple through the Navajo and Hopi economies. The business incubator Change Labs hopes to fill the gap by creating new opportunities for Native entrepreneurs.
This entire region is my ancestral homelands. I live with the land, I live from it. I have great respect for it.
Laws on the reservation were not made for us to create our own economy. They were made for companies to come and extract resources from our lands.
This power plant is shutting down.
It's no secret that the salary levels for those jobs are much higher than anywhere else on the Navajo Nation. And then there's also revenue to the tribal coffers. They're losing quite a bit of revenue through royalties that go to tribal services. So it's going to be a rough time for a lot of folks, but it's a time of change. I come from a family of silversmiths. So I grew up with people working every day but not actually going to work, making jewelry and then going on selling trips. We'd often go to Sedona or Phoenix or Santa Fe. I was always told when I went to college that I would be going for business. So I did. That's what I studied at ASU. When I was in college then, it was really about how to work for corporations, you know, how to climb that corporate ladder. But I always knew that I had wanted to start my own business. People think that business is a white man in a suit coming to your community that wants something and that has found something on the reservation that they need and wants access to. That's the perception of what business is. So we wanted to change that view of what a Navajo entrepreneur was.
In listening to the entrepreneurs who come to our events year after year, people tell us the same entrepreneurial challenges over and over again. I don't have internet at my house, or I couldn't get an employment identification number because my roads aren't labeled, or I don't know how to convert my home.
We are in Tuba City today. We are announcing the opening of Change Labs, which is an incubator and co-working space specifically for supporting entrepreneurship within the community. We threw around the idea that if we created something that was for the reservation, that we might be able to help people. The response from a lot of people was that there really aren't any businesses on the reservation.
The ironic thing is that if you drive across the reservation, our flea markets are flourishing. There's all sorts of people set up on the sides of the roads, chopping wood, recycling batteries, selling fry bread. We have an extremely hyper-entrepreneurial culture, but it doesn't necessarily translate into local and sustainable small businesses set up in our communities.
We started a campaign called I Am the Navajo Economy, and really that was to boost these entrepreneurs as being part of the economy as well.
I own a small food stand and also a small catering company called Alternative Eats, and we focus on Japanese-inspired food.
People think sushi in Tuba City, I don't know about that. He started with just a smaller menu, but it's taken off.
I always wanted to learn how to cook, but in my family, I guess, stereotypically the guy you have to become a welder or a pipe fitter. When I went to culinary school, there was so many foods that just really opened up my mind and my taste and my curiosity for different cultures. I always wanted to come back. I always wanted to come back to Tuba City and bring back what I've learned.
Shoshana Eco Retreat is a glamping bed and breakfast about 12 miles south of Page. Our guests come from all over the world. This is an immersion into nature, surrounded by it. You go and take a walk up the hill and you can come across any manner of creature that lives here in the desert. It's surprising how many people crave that. We've been in business for about 4 years now. One of the main challenges of setting up a business here on the Navajo Nation is just wading through the paperwork that you have to go through, all of these regulations that you have to meet, as well as introducing the idea that you want to run a business here on the reservation.
When leadership thinks about economic development, they think of large-scale development projects. They don't think about small entrepreneurs.
For those of you who are currently running a business, where are you running it from? So there's a few options up here.
They don't think that entrepreneurship is a force, when really it's the force that's kept communities alive and able to survive.
Our incubator has been around officially for about 5 years. We have 14 businesses that are currently in the incubator.
How many of you have actually worked in a co-working space before?
So we do this through an application process. Once you get into the incubator, we have a series of get-togethers. We bring graphic designers and branding experts. They do workshops on how to create a brand. Another event that we do is a financial deep dive, where we bring in accountants, and this is the part that's difficult. We have to do this in a setting where we sort of trap them there and say, okay, we have to talk about your profitability, your margins, your expenses. Once they actually see the numbers and they see, okay, I know what I need to do to reach that, it really helps them to move forward.
They really legitimized us. We had these professionals who were pushing us, who were excited about our idea, who wanted to see us succeed. Change doesn't come easily for anybody, and this represents a change.
Here in Tuba City on the reservation, if we were to get rid of Taco Bell, Bash's, Sonic's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, if we were to get rid of all of those overnight, whoever made the best hamburger in town is gonna be rich overnight. Whoever makes the best fried chicken in town, they're gonna be banking it. Like, why not let a native, what's wrong with a native getting rich? What's wrong with a native having a little money? What's wrong with a native being successful?
I see the drive that they have, and a lot of times it has nothing to do with money. It's because they want to live in their community, they want to raise their family here. I see that, I see the sacrifices they make.
Come together.
But I also see the potential. Growing up, we as Navajo people were taught to believe what was out here for us wasn't what was good for us. What was good for us was off the reservation or outside of what the Navajo Nation was. That's one of the things that we're trying to change now as a society. Our culture doesn't limit us, it actually is what we need to survive and to do more than survive, to be successful.
Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share stories from this and previous episodes. And like us on Facebook, where you can watch stories, comment, and share your own story ideas. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we share photos and links about the show and what's happening in our community.
Southern Arizona is home to a wide variety of native trees that thrive in the Sonoran Desert. Many of them bear edible beans. Desert Harvesters is one local organization that works to educate and inspire people to think more about native foods and how they might be used.
When I compare the Sonoran Desert to the Mojave or the Chihuahuan deserts, which are on either side of us, those feel like deserts to me, whereas here feels very lush and not like a desert because we have 2 rainy seasons, not 1, and because of those 2 rainy seasons, we have a much greater abundance and diversity of native food plants. The reason I'm passing this around to start, is it's super important that we taste before we pick when it's a mesquite tree. My name is Brad Lancaster. I'm with Desert Harvesters. We're a local nonprofit that's all about planting, growing, harvesting, celebrating, and sharing the bounty of the native wild food plants of this area.
Try to compare the taste of that one. Yours tastes like chicken, okay. That's a first.
Desert Harvesters has come out to the Santa Cruz River Farmers Market to partner with them, and we are going to be having some guided harvest tours.
The bean trees is really what we're focusing on, and they are part of the legume family, and so they produce edible beans. This is the seed pod of Foothills Palo Verde. We're mostly trying to highlight the ironwood, the mesquite, and the Palo Verde. Now, mesquite is what most people are familiar with. There's three natives, the screw bean, the velvet mesquite, and the honey mesquite. And in those bean trees, it's actually the pod that we're most desiring because it has a sweet, nutty taste and high nutritional value. They can be ground into a flour. We call the mesquite kind of the gateway food.
They should taste the pod, and it should be sweet, not bitter. And it should not dry your mouth or throat. It should not have any slight burning, and it should not be chalky. If it's burning, chalky, drying, or bitter, don't use it. It's nasty. So go find a better tasting tree, because every tree is different.
I came to the farmer's market to do the harvesting class and get some stuff for a potluck I'm having tonight. I've known for a while that a lot of this stuff is edible, and finding out really how to identify the trees. Well, I have a tree in my front yard. I'm not sure what it is. I'm gonna know when I get back with all the info I got today, but you know, if that's edible, I'll definitely harvest that.
If you find pods that have all the great conditions of being super dry, good tasting, clean, no signs of mold or insect damage, or not off the ground where they might be in contact with pesticides or herbicides, then you can bring them in to the milling, pay a nominal fee, and get a whole supply of flour.
A big part of what our group's doing is showing how can we use these traditional wild foods in modern kitchens. So we've got a hammer mill that can grind up mesquite pods into naturally sweet edible flour. It can grind 5 gallons of whole pods into 1 gallon of flour in 5 minutes. And the resulting gallon of flour you can sell for $70. It's that valuable.
And it's so yummy. That's the whole thing. People may not know, but it's super delicious. So like I use it for pies, I use it for breads, I make cookies with it. It's not bad for your blood sugar, even though it's sweet. What a better food could that be, right?
The reason we've shifted to the Santa Cruz River Farmers Market is we want to partner with other groups. So we enhance the team, we enhance the capability. This is already such a wonderful hub around folks that are already conscious of food, local food. We want to bring back this connection to place and its wild native food plants as a daily experience, not a once-a-year celebration. So we're regularly rooted to this place.
I'm wild about mesquite. I look everywhere for pods. I'm always searching. It becomes this addiction. Exo Roast Co. has been here in this location for 3 years now. We're a roaster. We also like experimenting with things in our environment. We really are into eating locally and playing around with regional wild foods and combining that with our coffee recipes. I slow cook my mesquite, generally anywhere from 12 to 14 hours is how long it takes to slow cook mesquite. Then what happens is I end up with basically my syrup, somewhere in between a syrup and an extract. And then what I do is I just basically add it as like a syrup or an additive to our drinks, and then I add my coffee, and it's sort of beautiful too looking, I think.
We're a small brewery. We're about the smallest one in Tucson right now. We opened just over a year and a half ago, and we make a different beer every week. Probably 20 of the 64 beers we make use some sourcing of local ingredients, whether they're from desert products or locally grown products. Today we're releasing the Saison de Juki, and Juki is a Tohono O'odham word for rain. We incorporated some orange peel and some creosote flowers and some white sage into it. So when you pour the beer in the glass, it actually smells like the rain coming across the desert. Years ago, some of the brewers and I worked with all the local indigenous ingredients that we get hold of to try and identify are they truly usable. And we found that mesquite bean works as a nice toasty character in a product like a nut brown ale. So we're using it this year in our Nutty Lou, which is a nut brown ale. And it's not about let's just use it so we can say we use it. It needs to fit in to make it actually an improvement of the product and make it reflect the terroir of the area and the flavor of the soil that's here in Arizona.
It's one of the most unique places on Earth. It's deceptively rich and abundant with things like mesquite, foods, all sorts of things that you can really only get here.
And the Sonoran Desert is a highly, highly unique place. It's only one place on the planet. If we want it to be preserved, then we have to promote the care and the huge appreciation of what it provides.
I find this connects me to place, roots me to place like nothing else. And it really makes me feel home, but not only home, but that I'm contributing to home, enhancing home.
The 17th annual Mesquite Milling and Fiesta is being held Saturday, November 16th at Las Milpitas Community Farm. To find out more about the event, go to desertharvesters.org. Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Here's a sneak peek at a story we're working on.
I learned about him in college, and in fact, I still have my original Leopold Sand County Almanac. I love a lot of the essays in Sand County Almanac. I think the one that's probably the deepest for me is the Land Epic. And in this, he talks about humans' relationship with the wild environment and how he sees, at least, we are in the middle of a transformation. We go from feeling that we control environment, that we own environment, to the point where we say, no, we are part of the land. We are part of the environment.
Behind these obvious and immediate hopes and fears, there lies a deeper meaning, known only to the mountain itself. Only the mountain has lived long enough to listen objectively to the howl of a wolf.
I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.